5.5, solving equations by graphing. Example 1, solve each equation by graphing and check your solution. Now, take a look at letter A. We have 1/2 x minus 3 equals 2x. Now, the difference here is this is not a system of equations. This is just simply an equation. So in the past, we had y equals something, 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 and we had y equals something, 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 and we found where those two things intersected, and our answer was a point x comma y. Now this time I just have an equation and I just want to know what x is. I just want to know what value do I have to put in there to make this work. Now the way we can do this by graphing is very similar to a system where we're going to break it up. So over here on the left side of your equal sign is our first quote quote equation. And on the right is our second one. So we're going to treat this essentially as y equals 1/2 x minus 3. And then we're also going to treat it as y equals 2x. And then we have a couple options. We can use graphing, we can use substitution, or we can use elimination. But in this sense, they said, okay, I want you to use graphing. So if I start with my first one, y equals 1/2 x minus 3, my y-intercept is a minus 3, and my slope, rise over run, is a 1/2. So I'm going to rise 1, and I'm going to run 2, and I'm going to rise 1, and I'm going to run 2, and I'm going to rise 1, and then I'm going to go off my graph. So I'll go the other way. I'll go down 1 and run 2, down 1 and run 2, and that line would look roughly like that. Okay, the other one, y equals 2x plus 0, if we need it, gives us a y-intercept of 0, and then a slope of 2 over 1. So rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1. And then I'm going to go the other way, drop 2, run 1, drop 2, run 1, which is going to give me a line that looks something like this. Now, if that were a system of equations, my intersection would be right here, which is at -2 down 4, -2 down 4. But really what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for an x value because this isn't a system, it's an equation. So x equals what? Well, x equals -2 should be my answer if I were to solve that equation. We're going to check it. So if I check it, I'm going to get 1/2 times x, which we're saying is, oh, sorry, that's a -2. -2. Minus 3 equals 2 times -2. Okay, let's see. So 1/2 times -2 is -1 minus 3. Should be 2 times -2 is -4. So -1 minus 3 is -4, and -4 equals -4. So the solution to this equation is x equals -2. And in this case, because it's just an equation, again, we only need the x value. What does x equal? Letter B, -4 plus 9x equals -3x plus 2. Now, once again, we can solve this like a typical equation, which actually I'm going to do really quick here. If I were just going to solve this, I would probably add 4. Those would cancel. I would have 9x equals -3x plus 6. Then I could add 3x. That's 9, 10, 11, 12x equals, those are going to cancel. That's going to get me 6. And then I'm going to divide by 12, which is going to get me x equals 6 divided by 12 is 1/2. But for the sake of what we're doing here, what would that look like if we tried it graphically? So we take the left side of our equation. So really what we're looking at here is y equals, and I'm going to rewrite a little bit, 9x, and then I'm going to put my minus 4 because it's a negative. Then we take the other side of our equation, which is y equals -3x plus 2. Now, on our first one, our y-intercept is a -4, and our slope is 9/1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9/1. That is a steep line. On our second one, our y-intercept is 2, and our slope is -3. So drop 1, 2, 3, run 1. Drop 1, 2, 3, run 1. And we're going something like that. I apologize that this line is not straight. And our point of intersection would be sitting maybe like right there, like 1/2, 1/2. And it's a good thing we solved it by hand first, because otherwise we'd really be guesstimating. But anyways, it looks like it's over here at x = 1/2. So let's check it. So I'm going to take, let's see, -4 plus 9 times 1/2. -4 plus 9 times 1/2 equals -3 times 1/2 plus 2. -3 times 1/2 plus 2. And let's see what we come up with. So this is -4 plus 9 times 1/2. I'm just going to convert that into a decimal to make our lives easy, which should be about 4.5. Equals -3 times 1/2 is -1.5 plus 2. -4 plus 4.5 is positive 0.5. And -1/2 plus 2 is positive 0.5. So there you go. If we solve it graphically, our point is over at x = 1/2. If we solve it algebraically, x = 1/2. Letter C, -6 times x plus 4 equals -3x minus 6. So again, we can solve this one algebraically, but I'm going to go straight to graphically. The left side, I'd be looking at y equals -6 times x plus 4. Now, that's not in y equals mx plus b or slope-intercept form, so the first thing I'm going to do is distribute. Y equals -6x plus, actually, minus 24. Now that I'm looking at this, I don't know how much I like it. We'll come back to that in a minute. And then our second equation, y equals -3x minus 6. Now this guy, y-intercept of -6, slope of -3. So we actually have to drop 3, run 1, which would take me like down here. Or I could rise 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1 this way. Do it again, 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Just make sure as you're graphing your line that you have a negative slope, which remember starts on the left top to right bottom. Now, the blue one, I kind of hesitated because this has a y-intercept of -24, which that's not, I'm not putting that on that graph. So I'm going to go back and review how to find x and y intercepts. So remember, if I want to find the x-intercept, you kind of do the opposite, and we're going to substitute 0 in for y. So 0 equals -6x minus 24. And again, I'm doing this so I can find the x-intercept. I'm going to add 24. So 24 equals -6x. Then I'm going to divide by -6, which is going to get me 24 divided by -6 is -4 equals x. So I know my x-intercept is at -4. Now, once I know that, I can go back, which we'll see how nice this is, to my slope. And my slope is a -6. So I'd have to drop 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Run 1. which is taking me over there. This is not a pretty graph. And again, I apologize, this is not straight. But it looks to me, this one has the red one has a slope of -3. The black one has a slope of -6. -6 is steeper, so eventually somewhere up here they will hit. But graphically, this is not working. So we're going to bag this idea and we're going to go back to algebra and see what's happening. So I'm going to take our equation. We've got -6 times x plus 4 equals -3x minus 6, and I'm just going to solve this. So distribute -6x minus 24 equals -3x minus 6. Add 6x, which will give us -24 equals 3x minus 6. Then I'm going to add 6, which will get me -18 equals 3x. Then I'm going to divide by 3, which is going to get me -6 equals x. And if I were to kind of look at that graphically, -6 would be out here, which tells me whenever I go up to wherever these graphs will be, maybe like up here if I wasn't running off the page, x would be -6, and then up here at some y value, these two would meet. But moral of this story, the answer is -6, but graphing is not always the best way to solve an equation. Sometimes we just need to revert back to what we know. Letter D, let's see how we do with this one. So if we start with trying to solve this graphically, my first one is going to be y equals 5x minus 4. My second one is going to be y equals 5x plus 1. If I start with the green one, my y-intercept is -4. And my slope is 5 over 1. So rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, run 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I go off the page, so we'll just call that good. And then the other one, y-intercept is 1, and slope is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, and I ran off the page. So we can actually go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. Now, on this one, once again, I don't have an intersection. But this one's a little different than the last one because the last one had two different slopes. What do we notice about these slopes? And more importantly, these lines. These lines are parallel. They have the same slope. So if they're parallel, are they ever going to intersect? And the answer is no. So if they're never going to intersect, that tells me that this equation has no solution. There's no value of x that I can substitute in that's going to make it true. If I were to actually solve this, come back up here, I could subtract 5x from both sides. Well, this one would cancel, this one would cancel, and I'd be left with -4 equals, or I'm sorry, -4 equals 1. That's false. And when you get a false equation, that means that there's no solution.